mastery or masturbation. It's a very fine line between being a self-promotionist and following your true path. Take, for example, the teacher and author, starting out small with a kernel of an idea to help others. A few people follow his path and he becomes successful. Eventually, a friend convinces him that it's time for him to put his system on paper, and duly his course arrives for home study. People love it, but they want more. His publishers want more too, so between them they decide on a publicity tour. The phenomenal success of his book means that people would like a chance to work with him too. Clearly, working one-to-one with people isn't the best use of his time, so he thinks about a hall. Now he can work with 80 people at a time. But hundreds of people are clamouring for this teacher to help them. The rooms get bigger and bigger. The auditoriums that are being booked for him now hold 6,000 people at a time. Why travel all over the world with all that stress? Just hold the retreats in Hawaii or Fiji. Everybody will travel the globe to be with you, and you can spend your time in paradise. You discount the courses for former attendees, and then they become your acolytes who help other people on the course. I mean, how could you possibly hope to wrangle 6,000 people a day for a week at a time? There are plenty of people who see a price tag of $10,000 as a great investment. I have a friend who attended just one such course 3 times in a year, $30,000, and still good value according to her. For the person running the show, perhaps they might make 10, maybe $20 million in a year, possibly 2 or 3 times a year. It's not a bad way to make a living. Tour like that for a few years, sell your books and courses, you could see your way to becoming a billionaire. But are you still helping people? I guess so. And what about yourself? We hear the stories about mastery, the oft-quoted 10,000 hours to mastery. Well, I passed that mark a long time ago and I still feel like a complete beginner. One of my teachers used to remark, if you have to call yourself master, then you really aren't there yet. It was deemed to be fine if someone else called you it, though. I suppose the idea was to say to your top students, please call me master, don't tell anybody I asked you to. Encourage the younger ones to do it as well. In ancient Chinese times, the stories were always told about young students brushing the steps of the master's house for 3 years before they would even receive one lesson. True devotion was required. Even I served an apprenticeship during the 1990s to Master Lam. I attended his classes for about 18 months without him so much as even glancing at me. My apprenticeship was rather costly too. With your devotion, you had to bring your hard, cold folding too. Once you'd paid enough tribute, he would eventually deign to show you a few moves. In these days of social media, it's possible to connect with anybody at the drop of a hat, and you're able to access information that would have never have been possible even 20 years ago. But has some of the value gone? We're so used to getting exactly what we want, at the moment we want it. Has this devalued the learning experience? Once a year, my Chinese teachers used to tour through Europe. We'd grab them, they'd teach a wonderful 10-day retreat for about 30 people. These days, I can't get them off Zoom. Every other day, they're offering to present a new course. Interestingly, it seems that my students are now tiring of the torrent of information. And like us all, in our 3rd pandemic lockdown, we're all craving face-to-face teaching once again. There are astonishing levels of egalitarianism created by online teaching. Anyone, anywhere, can learn anything. But truly, I feel that something's been lost. I also have to question the North American publishing model that sees healers and teachers turned into veritable rock stars. There has to be some envy mixed in there too. What happens when my book deal comes through? When the documentary I'm trying to get funded finds its home at last on Netflix? Where is the line between staying true to yourself but helping as many people as you can? Well, I believe that ultimately the line is drawn deep inside your soul. How will you behave when fame comes knocking? Can you walk the walk of the Dalai Lama? Will you become a YouTube superstar? Or even like the famed Beatles guru Maharishi, who amassed a huge collection of Rolls Royces and an estate worth £2 billion and a string of rape claims? Well, to date, I've not had a chance to test this theory. However, I do see some of my teachers getting a bit lost in the maze of this question. To add further layers of difficulty, often these wonderful teachers are A, bad at any type of promotion, and B, rarely tech savvy. Outside forces seem keen to help them. But another of the great questions is, how do you find out how your audience really perceives you? Especially when you're surrounded by a huge team who loves and worships you. Are they aggressively marketing you to the world, and in so doing, destroying your message and your standards? Would you rather help 500 people broadly or 30 people deeply? What a conundrum. The only possible word that can be applied is humility. But how do you square a marketing campaign with humility? I guess the only possible approach is to stick firmly to one's own path. Keep checking if you and you alone are in total control of your journey, or have you just ceded it to somebody else who's now driving it for you? It's a very tricky one. Sorry folks, no answers here today, but do watch this space and please offer any opinions you can. Thank you.